Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good day to you all. How are you all? Today is another day in one of the days of the fifth week, and about 5 weeks ago, we have been discussing the various methods of power transmission in machines. Today also, we are going to discuss another method of power transmission, and our topic for today is gear system. Gear system. Gear system is different from all the topics we have been discussing before. It's different from belt drive and chain drive. And the major difference between the gear system and all those drives is that the gear system does not require any linking device before it does the transmission of power from one place to another. So unlike belt drive and chain drive. So if you have not forgotten, we will remember that when we want to use a belt drive to transmit power from one place to another, so we are going to use belt. We connect belt across two or more pulleys. Also, in chain drive, when we want to use chain drive to transmit power, we also connect chain across two or more sprockets. But in gear system, we only need the gears. So there is no need for any linking device between the two gears or more than two gears that we need to do the power transmission. So that is why I'm saying that the gear system is different from the other transmission of power methods that we have learned. So since that we have been learning since about 4 or 5 weeks ago. So today we are learning gear system. So it's another system of transmitting power from one place to another. Now, what do they call gear? A gear is just a machine component in which teeth are cut around cylindrical or cone-shaped surface with equal spacing. A typical gear diagram is shown below. So you can see a typical gear diagram. So you can see the diagram of two gears. So one is small and the other is large. So the smaller one is having 10 teeth, so and the larger one is having 30 teeth. So at times, instead of calling the components, instead of calling them gears, they can call them cogs. So a single gear can be also called a cog. So they can call it a cog. Now let's go to the definition of gear system. Gear system is an arrangement of two or more cogs or gears for transmitting power, changing the machine speed, direction, or speed rate. Let's listen again. Gear system is an arrangement of two or more cogs or gears for transmitting power, changing the machine speed, direction, or speed rate. So we can use gear system to do about three things. Not only for transmitting power, you can also use it for changing the speed direction of a machine, and you can also use it to increase or decrease the speed rate of a machine. Now to the working principle of a typical gear system. To do any work with a gear, you need to have at least two cogs with their teeth fitting into each other as shown in the diagram above. This is the diagram we are referring to. That means if you want to use gear system, you are going to need at least 2 gears, so with their teeth fitting into each other as the diagram is displaying. So that is what we are being told here. This fitting together or interlocking, you can call it interlocking of the gear teeth at times. So this fitting together or interlocking of the gear teeth is also called meshing. So when you mesh the 2 teeth of gear together, so you are fitting them together, that is having the same meaning with fitting in together the teeth of gear. Because the teeth fit together, when the driver gear is turned, it turns the other one called the driven gear in the opposite direction as shown below. When you fit the teeth together, the teeth of the gears of the 2 gears you want to use, so the driver gear, when it turns, so it is the driver gear that now turns the driven gear. You can see it in the diagram. So the driver gear is the one that is being turned by the electric motor, or the one you are using your hands to turn. So when you turn it, so it now turns the driven gear. So it is the driven gear that is attached to the load side of the machine, so as to do the necessary work you want to use the gear system for. And we can see when the driver gear is being turned in the anti-clockwise direction, so when the driver gear is now turning the driven gear, so it is turning the driven gear in clockwise direction. So that means when the driver gear is rotating in one direction, so by the time it is turning the driven gear, so it will be turning the driven gear in the opposite direction. So that is how gear system works, and we can see it in the diagram. So the driver gear is the one that is attached to the electric motor or to the prime mover, so the instrument that you connect to it in order to move it, because the driver gear also cannot be moving itself. So but when the driver gear is being moved, so it now moves the driven gear, but in the opposite direction. And the round object, the round pipe on which the gear is mounted so as to hold it in place, so they call that pipe, they call it shaft. So we can see a typical gear mounted on its shaft. So that is a spur gear that is mounted on its shaft. So we can see it. So that is the shaft protruding beyond the part of the gear, so we can see it there. So we can see it coming out from the 2 sides of the gear. So that is a spur gear mounted on its shaft. So that is the rod that is holding that gear, that is what they call shaft. And also at times when we want to use more than 2 gears, so we can also place some gears in between the driver gear and the driven gear. So they call those gears, they call them idlers. So we can see them in the diagram here. So these are the gears that are more than 2. So the small one in between the driver gear and the driven gear, they call it idler gear. So that is how gear system works. So and that is where we are going to stop for the first part of the lesson. So by God's grace, we are going to resume and conclude the lesson in the next part of the lesson. Thanks so much.